Right. Have you ever sat in a conference room and listened to some guy, I don't know, Gav the growth guru, who tells you you're poor because your mindset's wrong? Or if you've been to one of those marketing summits where everyone's a CEO but nobody has a functioning website? Or have you been to a networking group and you're like, nobody here actually has a business that makes profit? They're just pretending they do. If you've ever wondered why you're leaving business events with a tote bag full of leaflets but absolutely no bookings, congratulations, you've attended one of those marketing cults I like to think of. Today we're breaking down the truth about businesses and marketing events, why so many are useless, how to tell when someone's pretending to run a business, and how to finally choose ones that actually grow your business, your photography career, instead of just your resentment. I have attended many a networking group. I've even went on one recently as a bit of a market research for this episode. I know, look at me, Nancy Drewing it. But hi, I'm Khandie, and this is a Loud Lens, where we basically talk about a load of crap to make a podcast. So if you like that kind of stuff, jump on and follow because I like those numbers going up. Okay. There's a reason why this matters though about networking, and we could go on about the money and the stuff like that. But I'll be honest, it's become like the Wild West out there. Every Tom, Dick, Nancy, and Harry, blah blah blah, has kind of gone. I've launched my own coaching academy, and I'm running a summit, a conference, a business breakfast, a mindset, a retreat, a VIP dinner, a female empowerment brunch, or some other prize bollocks get together where the main activity is making you feel like shite, so you pay more. Photographers, especially those who feel isolated, underbooked, or unsure of what good marketing looks like, are definitely easy prey for these kind of things. And the worst bit is, a lot of photographers think that going to any business event counts as marketing when it absolutely does not. Marketing is not showing up in places and hope someone magically books you. Marketing is being strategic. And I have done episodes upon episodes of this, my love. So please go listen back to them. So here in this episode, I hope I will save you money, save you some time, get rid of that burnout desire that you're definitely heading towards if you hang out at these places, a little bit of secondhand embarrassment, and the feeling of why the hell have I just sat for a 90-minute presentation on manifesting my ideal client? Someone needs to explain this to me. It's your mindset why you're not getting these people. Okay, of course it is. Okay, cool. It's got nothing to do with the fact I haven't marketed properly. All right. So there is an ethical debate. The manipulation goes quite deep when it comes to these. I mean, let's really dig into the psychology on this because these events are engineered very deliberately to override your common sense. They set up the room so you feel like you're the lowest in the food chain. There's this like manufactured hierarchy, if you like. The organisers, the speakers, the VIP ticket holders, everyone is presented as somebody you should aspire to be like. Except half of them earned the VIP badge by paying that extra 150 quid at the checkout. Now, this isn't the same for all of them, but there is that. So I've been to a few where there is that definite oh, they're the VIPs. They're the ones who actually really want to invest in their future. I'm sure if you go to an event and you are struggling to make money and you're going, right, I'll go to this event to make money. The fact that someone's willing to pay an extra £150 for this just makes me feel like, what do they get extra? Oh, a tote bag. Brilliant. Okay. Do they get one-on-one? They don't get one-on-one. Okay. So there's nothing really more they get. I hate it. Okay. There's also the name badge thing. Have you ever been to one where they do name badges and it's like I went to one and they were color coded. Just like, what's the colour for? Oh, if you're new, yeah, you get this colour. If you've been here a bit, you get this colour. And if you're one of our elite members, you get this. And I'm like, okay, but we're all in the same room, right? Yeah. And we can talk to everyone. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. Just feels like a classic manipulation. Instantly, you know who's worth talking to based entirely on how much they paid, on whatnot, and not even anything they do. None of the badges told me what they did, where they sit in the hierarchy. I remember going to one of these seminars, right? And this friend of mine came with me and they spent what was effectively nearly 30 minutes chatting to this person who worked at a company that she was very keen to work with, except she found out that this person was just here because the boss couldn't come and she knew nothing about the company really. She was fairly new. And she was like, oh, great. Okay, that's brilliant. Can I have your email? Oh, I don't really know if I can invite people into the company. So maybe I'll take yours and I'll see. So, I mean, honestly, not it's just this false power dynamic as well. You're literally being socially engineered to think someone's more important than they are based on a badge. Yeah, I'm not into it. They also have this idea that anyone who gets on the stage is automatically seen as an expert, even if they have a zero track record. Humans can't help it. Our brain associates microphones with authority, I swear, which is quite ironic because I'm sat here with a microphone telling you about this. So I have some authority. Respect my authority. So sorry. So someone who shot free weddings now calls themselves a creative business strategist is suddenly seen as some business oracle. Okay. I have seen people, and I went to one of these seminars where someone was lauding up about their business, and I just sat there and went to company's house and saw they had 7 dissolved companies failing to put in any taxes on them. For me, you are not a business guru. You're very good at dissolving businesses. That's about as far as it gets. Okay. They also have this sort of manufactured FOMO, fear of missing out if you're not down with the lingo, my loves. They use phrases like only serious business owners attend. If you're here, you're already ahead. The real money's in the room. Don't be the one that doesn't invest and stays stuck. It's not. It's not. It is really not education. I feel like it's an indoctrination with limp bacon butties or stale pastries. Okay. And there is also the emotional trauma marketing. And now this is something that is really big for me because there are events that intentionally trigger your insecurities. They say things like, if you struggle with money, it's because you're not aligned. If your business isn't growing, it's because you're resisting. If you really wanted success, you would invest now. No. Sometimes you're broke because the economy sucks and you spent £1,200 on a retreat that gave you a notebook, a yoga mat, and a headache. Okay. I have seen literally last week, I was sent an email asking me if I wanted to go on a business retreat, right? It was somewhere in, I think, somewhere in the Peak Districts or something like that, or somewhere like that, maybe the Cotswolds. And it was gathering of like-minded individuals so we can work together to manifest our future CEO energy. Yeah. We would do yoga in the morning. I don't like yoga. I've tried yoga many times. It's just not for me. I'm not here to insult you, but I'm here for business. I want to focus on my business. Then it was, we'd go on a hike. And then we'd sit down at lunch and we'd do and have a light lunch, and then we do a bit of marketing, and then we'd have a social thing. For me, that is more of a piss up with my mates with a bit of chin wag over wine about my business. I want real business talk. If I'm going to talk about my business, I want to get fully focused in. Now I know it's not for everybody, but the fact it was running at 2,600 and people are already struggling. You aren't aiming it at this people. This just feels weird. Like, one, you're not providing all the meals, even though I'm staying there. I have to, there's all these additional costs while I get there. I'm sorry. I looked at 2 of the people who are running it, and 2 of them have been in business less than a year, right? I get it. You have had a meteoric rise, but you also don't know, how can you relate to somebody who's 15 years in, who's struggling, who's got a business, who wants to rebrand or has moved? You don't have that experience. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say, you don't have to have every experience, but setting yourself up like this, and I'm done. I'm done. I want more from somebody than you just stood on the stage. And I have this thing whenever I do my seminars. I don't gatekeep. I have a thing after every single one of my seminars. I leave a gap either at the end of the speech or separate speech, like straight after I finish out of my time slot. Come and talk to me. Come and I'll impart my information. I've had a very varied life. Had a business for a very long time. I have had a studio. I've traveled overseas with my work. I've been burned with my work. I've had burnout with my work. I've had to deal with absolute emotional breakdown. You might have known a couple of years ago, something really bad happened to me, and I had to keep working because I had clients and I needed the money to be able to pay for the legal side of it to get it sorted so this person can get convicted. I I had to do all sorts of weird things. The only thing I haven't done is give birth and had a child, okay? So I can't advise on what that's like, all right? But I feel like I've done quite a lot of things. So when I tell you, sometimes you need to look at who these business people are. Do they have good business sense? I don't want to sit in a room and tell myself that I'm not manifesting CEO energy. What the F does that even mean? Does I have to go, I want to be a CEO. I want to be a CEO. Please let me be a CEO. I want to be. What is that meaning? Do I have to sit here with a candle burning and sniff it and huff the smells and go, CEO energy? Dong. What is it? I I'm on a rant. I can hear it. So let's do a reality check if that already wasn't one for you. If you listen to this in the car, I'm sorry I got a bit irate. So if you start speeding up, slow down, stick within the speed limits, my love. This is also a great time to say subscribe to the channel, wherever you're listening this to, because I like those numbers. So let's talk about the biggest elephant in the conference room, shall we say. A lot of business events are run by people who can't sustain an actual business that they're teaching. You've seen it constantly in photography. Ex-photographers now teach marketing. I don't have a problem. There's some of them who are amazing. I'm not here to insult anybody, but I find it really crazy that someone says, I've made 500,000 with my photography business. No. Your photography side made you 10,000. your ability to chat and talk shite on stage has made you the rest. That doesn't mean you can tell me how to make a profitable photography business because you don't actually have one. You have a very profitable talking business, you know? Or there's coaches who make more from coaching, than they do any other side of the business, which I just mentioned then. But, you know, there's the marketing experts, the branding experts whose own branding looks like it was done in Microsoft Paint. Or, you know, I'm gonna just say this now. Sometimes you see somebody who's talking all about business and is rocking on about business, and then you go on and they have an outdated headshot or they're using clip art fonts. It's just not great for me. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm sat here. And you also say, you know, when these people align themselves with certain brands, you're like, why are those brands not being picked up on by this person going, hey, you need to elevate your brand. Let me help you. And they can use that as a turning point. I took this brand when I started working with them from this to this, so I can help you. It makes more sense, yeah? There's also the high ticket sales mentors who've never booked a high ticket client themselves, okay? I go to a networking event, and there's a great business mentor there. He's not my business mentor, but I like the way he works. And I chat with loads of people, and everyone there is kind of, we're all working together. We all have friendships. We make friends. We have a good banter. There's a lot of laughter going on, and I make money from it. I literally do. I also help people, and people come and ask me for advice, and I offer that advice freely. People say, "Oh, you need to charge for it." Yes, I have had work from it. Sometimes I believe in like giving a little bit of information so I can prove I know my stuff, and then people will hire me. Okay, anything I'm giving out at these chats is not something groundbreaking. You know, if you subscribe to this podcast, it's all on there. Except on this podcast, I tend to go a little bit more in depth, as I do on my YouTube channel. That I do talk about business because I know about business. Okay, so I kind of feel like when you're learning from people who've left the industry, they're not really leaders within it. For me personally, what are the real businesses? They're the ones with budgets, the ones who actually hire creatives. And to be honest, a lot of them are not at these events. They are, however, at trade shows, local commerce meetings, conferences tied to their specific industry, vendor showcases, corporate expos, charity fundraise galas, business improvement district events, all of those. These rooms aren't sexy. The lighting is bad, the coffee is often worse, and the chairs often hurt. But these rooms have the money in them. Your dream clients do not live in empowerment brunches or boss babe summits, okay? I don't mind that people want to go to it. I'm not here to poo-poo because there are some amazing ones. So if you get butthurt that I'm saying this about you and you identify with any of the things I've said previously, then you know you have a problem. You're just covering it up. If you don't identify with what I'm saying from your networking group you arrange, then you're okay. Like there's no reason to get butthurt about it. But I am seeing it more and more, people who are very good at selling themselves as a speaker than they are selling their business, okay? And photographers fall for it hook, line, and sinker. They go on like everyone now is a social media expert. Yeah, everyone now is a social media guru. And yeah, someone like me who has a social media analyst background, I asked somebody who was talking to me about marketing. So I wanted to have someone, and I was going to hire a social media marketer to have a look at my work, see if there's anything I could tidy up. It's always good to have second eyes. And I started talking to her about my analytics, and she went, "Oh, I don't provide analytics." I'm like, "Why do you not provide analytics? How do you know if something works?" Oh, that's for the client to check. I'm like, "Yeah, but how do you know it works? You keep suggesting things to me. How do you know it works?" She came recommended. So I had a look at her analytics. Her analytics were pretty bad. And then I looked at my friend's business and I looked at when she had taken on this social media analytics, because that's where she come from recommended, and found that my friend had better engagement rate with her own content than she did with this social media girls. I was like, "Oh God, yeah." So it's always good just to check things and actually know what their qualifications are and have a proven track record. Just because someone what was that noise? Just because somebody sorry, there's a ghost in the house. No, I'm joking. Just because somebody looks good online doesn't mean they're actually good at their job. Everyone can, smoke and mirrors, baby, smoke and mirrors. But when you are looking at maybe I would call this your litmus test, right? So the 5 questions you should ask before you buy any ticket to any event. Does the event match the type of clients you want? Is the room full of coaches, MLM reps, my personal pet hate, Etsy sellers, Reiki healer? Well, I don't really mind those actually. Vibe creators. None of those are going to be booking your photography. I'm not here to slate them, but you need people who are looking for photography, who have potential for photography. Okay. That's not to say that you couldn't If you're interested in the holistic therapies, that would make great sense for you to go. But me, I'm not looking to book those clients. You need to think, okay, who do I want to book? The one I go to is at a lovely cafe, restaurant here in Northampton called Nuovo, and it's done with Brian Wrigley. There are people in the room that I want to hang out with, I want to make work with, the people I want to deal with. Okay. I go there. I go for the food alone as well, and the chinwag and the respite from my own voice. That makes sense for me to go to. I have been to one, and this is the one I said to you earlier in the podcast episode where I said about I went on my market research. Okay. So I paid just not a lot of money, like 20 quid, to go to an early morning meeting for this like networking group, right? Here in the area. And there's a few. It was very early. It was at a golf club, and I had to go there. And I showed up and there was a few cars in the parking lot, and I showed up and I walked in and I was offered a very salty looking, limp, barely cooked, like looked like it had been boiled bacon sandwich. One, if you know me, I don't eat pork. Don't like it. And I said, no, thank you. Any other options? He went, there's a fried egg. And I was like, I don't like eggs, but I thought better than anything, I'll grab it. I'll have a fried egg sandwich. Gross. Now, for me, if I'm talking about business, that doesn't really sell to me high end. I know it sounds really awful. I'm not trying to be snobby, but it's not very high end. Okay. So I grabbed this bacon. Well, I walked past the bacon. I grabbed the egg sandwich and egg roll, sorry, sat down and I got told off immediately for sitting down. I was like, "Well, I don't wanna stand and eat." "Oh, no, you've got to network with people." I'm like, "I've literally just been given food. How am I meant to eat and talk?" So I just put it down to one side, but I'm not gonna eat it then. And I started chatting, and the thing was, everyone was straight away telling me, "What do you do? Where are you located?" I was like, "I'm here in Northampton photographer." "Right, okay, and, what special prices do you have for photography?" I was like, "Well, what is it you're specifically interested in?" "Well, for this group, we always give discounts for everybody." I said, "Well, I need to know what you want so I know what I'm discounting." And they were like, "Well, everything. We could book you for family sessions. We could have our Christmas photos done." And I was like, "Well, I'm not like, what? Do you want a discount on everything?" And apparently, if you're in this group, you must discount to every member. And also you must pass the business around these members. So I started to feel this was quite culty. You might love these groups. This might be something you've really enjoyed. Okay. Maybe I just had a bad experience with one. So we were then eventually allowed to sit down and I tried to find my sandwich, but it was long gone cleaned up. So I paid to literally sit in a chair at this point. So I sat down and there was a whiteboard in front of us. And what happened was everyone had to go up to the whiteboard and in 2 minutes tell them who they were, what they did, and what work they were looking for. And then everyone in the room who had suggestions would speak up. So this one guy got up and he said, I'm a car mechanic, I'm in a car garage. I'm looking to get people to book in. I want to get more cars coming in. And that's quite logical, isn't it? And he said he was located just outside Northampton. And one of my cars, I'm bougie, my partner's car as well, was due an MOT. So I said, oh, where are you based? I'll use you for an MOT. He went, oh, I'm not looking for MOT work. I was like, oh, okay, no worries. He goes, I'm looking for car maintenance. I was like, oh, okay, he doesn't want MOT work. Okay. Car maintenance. I'm like, well, I mean, I can't give you my car because my car doesn't need maintenance, but MOT is a pretty regular thing. But I sat quietly and nobody else in the room had anything to offer him. So he just sat back down and he had a little pin badge on, right? I later found out that he pays nearly £300 a month to have this pin badge and be able to attend these meetings. And the meetings happen once a week, right? I think it's once a week or every 2 weeks. I can't remember which way it was. It doesn't seem to be viable for him to be there, in my opinion, because nobody else there I think it was 20 people sat there, had anything to offer him for his car, right? No one offered to take his business name. No one offered to take his business card. They just sat down. That was it. No one said anything. The next person to get up was an accountant. And she says, hi, I'm an accountant. I'm based here in Northamptonshire. I'm looking for new clients to plenty to reach out. And everyone went, well, I've already got an account. I'm locked in. I'm locked in, locked in. Tell me why you're at this meeting. Why are you at this meeting? Like, again, it made no sense to me. And what I started to realise was it came to my turn quite rapidly. And I stood up and I said, hi, I'm Khandie. I own a photographic studio here in Northampton. I travel quite a bit. I'm just interested in reaching potentially new clients, particularly in the corporate and commercial world who are looking for new headshots, new branding, new marketing. And everyone just looked back at me and goes, oh, I use a selfie. It's great. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, people make a first impression on photography. It'd be really interesting to see that work and see if there's anything I can do to elevate you. And he was like, no, I'm cool with it. I was like, okay, cool. So obviously, maybe I presented wrong. He was a bit cold. So eventually I sat down. As this meeting progressed, it became very clear that there were a lot of people there claiming they had a very successful business. And all I was doing was, while they were speaking, was checking out their socials. Most of them had very inactive social media, and some of them had really poor websites, if at all, websites at all. What became very clear is that they enjoyed being part of a club that made them look elite, and were under the pretense that they were getting some sort of education. Because when it came to the education, I'll tell you now, it was freaking dreadful. The marketing girl had spelling mistakes throughout her entire marketing presentation. It was talking about an outdated social media trend that had happened. And actually, she was talking about, oh, the hashtag theory. And the hashtag theory was debunked many months ago. And actually, I ended up saying, hi, as someone who has a social media analytical background, and I put it straight out because I was about to shame this girl. And I know you shouldn't do this. But this girl was telling them a load of crock, right? And they were paying to be part of this group. And they essentially were paying her to give her this information. This information was wrong, right? She was saying all sorts of things that were just wrong, right? So I just said, well, actually, it was recommended at the time, when the time, it was 3 and 7, hashtag blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yes, but, the more hashtags, the better. I said, well, you're only limited to have 13. You're telling people to put 50, 60. No. And she just, it's kind of quite clear that I knew what I was talking about and she didn't. And I know that's not a very professional thing for me to do, but I looked around the room and I saw businesses that were paying nearly £300 a month to come to this and be told an absolute crock of crap. And I wasn't about to settle for it. And I know that made me the most hated person in the room. And I'm very much okay with that. I am done with watching people waste their money. Okay. So now I've done that little rant. And do you know what's even worse? They took me off to a side room on my own. Said, oh, can we have a word? I thought, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. And they asked me to sign up. I was like, "No, I'm not interested." Oh, but no, no, and I laid it out fair. None of you own a successful business that I can see. The only person who's making money is the person who's the head of this, who gets money for running this event. And I'll be honest, if you can't sort out the breakfast options, I don't trust you very much with a business option. He went, "What do you mean?" I looked across, and the limp bacon sandwiches were there. The fried eggs had all gone nasty. Do you know what I mean? I'm just no. No. So let me tell you now, if you shoot families, go to family events. If you shoot brands, go to business expos. If you do headshots, HR conferences are great. Business expos are great. Weddings, go to venue open days. Events, go where event planners will physically be. Stop going where your clients don't live and don't go. Also ask, do organisers have a track record of delivering results? Ask, what tangible results do attendees typically get? If their action is connection, their answer is connection, that means nothing's measurable, right? It's fine, but nothing's measurable. Does the speaker walk the walk? Do they still run a business like yours or similar business? Do they have proof of income? Are they relevant now, not 10 years ago? What do their clients look like your clients for a start? Also, another one, is it a sales trap? If if the event funnels you towards a mastermind, a coaching program, a subscription service, a retreat, a certification, a VIP project, whatever it is, that's not a business event. That's a sales pipeline disguised as a community. Another thing I feel is, do I feel respected or pressured? Huge difference. Good events make you feel value and give you value. Bad events make you feel guilty until you buy. And I'm sorry, it does. I've got some red flags for you, okay? Um, these are some red flags, and I literally just looked through. I went on LinkedIn to look at these, and I went on some websites to look at these. So let me give you some examples. These are my non-negotiables. If you see them, leave. Okay. Red flag 1. We don't reveal the speakers until ticket purchase. Translation: we're hoping you'll buy before you realise it's Claire's from Facebook ads for females who hate selling. 'Cause I don't think that Facebook group exists, but I just thought I'd make it up. Red flag 2, VIP mediation before sessions. No hate to mediation. I think it's great. Um, but I want to talk about the session before I get having to divulge. Okay. I'm not into it. The other thing is a red flag while I'm on the, so it's not quite the same, but any sort of like weird, like, we're going to do yoga before we do this to relax us all. I'm in business. I don't have time to do yoga with a bunch of people who I don't know. I just want to come here to business. I just want to do it. Okay. I don't need to cleanse any chakra. I'm not poo-pooing yoga, but I need to learn how to write a marketing email for more than I need to do that. Okay. I'm all for it, but I'm not paying money to come and sit here to do this with you. I could go do this in my own time away from everybody where I probably feel more relaxed. Okay. The other one is where they use slogans like, "If you're either growing or you're dying." It's a perfect line for controlling people. It's a terrible line for businesses who need sleep. Like, honestly, like, I'm tired. I know I mentored a guy who was so stressed about his photography business that he wasn't sleeping at night, which meant he was making poor mistakes when he was writing stuff. And we just said, right, let's just get a decent weekend of sleep. Okay. Just let me take over your social media for now. I'll tidy it up over the weekend. Sleep. Don't look at it, just sleep, and then we'll come back on Monday and start again, okay? I also think there's a overuse of, I want to say Americanized because it's quite heavy in that culture, hype culture. Yeah, yeah, in the UK. If someone in MK is screaming, "Who's ready to expand their abundance?" My fight or flight activates immediately. I'm not into that. Just talk to me. Just talk to me. Why do I get hype culture. I do get it, but sometimes it's just like all talk and no substance. Okay, or unqualified people teaching legal and financial advice. I see people who photographers talk about how to sometimes to set up a limited company, how to do your taxes, how to handle copyright. That's fine, you can, but you have to acknowledge you're not a legal person. In every podcast episode, YouTube video where I talk about this kind of thing, I tell people I'm not legal, it's just my opinion. Seek advice, okay? You need to get advice from professionals who are literally qualified. We all know the basic copyright law as a photographer, I'd hope. But I think we need to be very careful about who we take advice from and certainly who we pay from it from. So I did some case studies, okay? Okay. And don't hate me. I got a couple of friends to ask me about where they went. And one of them was someone who paid £450 for, I've changed the name so you can't go find them, but they're kind of loosely linked. So if you're clever, you probably could find them. Entrepreneur Summit. The photographer attended hoping to book branding clients because that's what it was. What actually happened was she met a balloon arch business, free lash techs, a trauma release coach, 4 mindset mentors, and a woman selling vibrational perfume, apparently. I think that's how she said it. My photographer friend left with one, I'd love to collaborate with you, and actually got stomachache because the food was so bad and got 0 bookings. Okay. Meanwhile, my other friend, in fact, I was going to go on this one, but I got sick, so I couldn't go. I'm kind of gutted. She paid 40 quid to attend a local business expo here. Well, not here, was it? It was more Peterborough way, actually. Okay, when she showed up, she booked a cheap stall. The attendees there were local businesses, so there's HR representatives, business owners, venue managers, solicitors, charities, councils. She actually got 4 leads, a discovery call, and 2 bookings within 30 days. That is a massive return of interest. Okay, so the other one is, as a wedding photographer in the past, I have gone to free venue open days where I've spoken to actual couples, I've given out cards, I've booked weddings, cost pretty much nothing to me, impact huge. I actually ended up being for a while their go-to photographer, until they ended up changing how they did weddings, and so I don't work there anymore. And I do, but I'm not how they didn't want to have recommended suppliers anymore. They found that that was quite a negative impact on those businesses. It sounds really weird, doesn't it? Because a lot of brides and grooms don't like being told who they can work with, and they found that that was causing a detrimental thing to their business. Okay. There's another one where I've been, where I went to this is a personal one of mine. I was invited, so I didn't actually have to pay for this, but had I paid, it would 129 quid. Women in Business brunch, okay? I attended because one, it was free and I was doing this podcast, so I wanted to do an episode on it. And I'm not joking. Everyone was a coach of some description or people wanting to be coaches. Nobody was looking for a photographer. Everyone takes photos for Instagram. No one hires a photographer. The result was, had I paid for it, I would have literally had nothing from it. Nothing. Maybe some sort of fake feeling that I was devalued. I don't know. It was a load of crap, if I'm honest. I was absolutely appalled at the fact that this was some sort of women in business. I don't even know what the coaches were doing there. Like, if you're worth your salt, why were there so many coaches? I counted 9 coaches, okay? 9. Okay. The other one is how to maximize the right events. So assuming that every event is good. This is how not to blend into the wallpaper in the background. Okay. Before you go, have a clear out goal, like a clear outcome goal. Like decide, do I want leads? Do I want to have more brand exposure? Do I want to get into publications or partnerships? And know that before you walk in. So you talk and you twist your talking towards those goals. Okay. And don't be afraid to ask organisers ahead of time who typically attends, what industry sectors show up the most. Can I see any feedback from last year's event or the last event? If they dodge the questions, I'm sorry, that's a bit of a red flag. And position yourself as an expert, not hi, I'm a photographer, here's my card. You're not a beggar, right? Instead, I specialize in helping businesses look more professional online. Tell me what you do. How I can help you. Or, you're not selling, you're trying to solve a solution. Solve a problem to get a solution. That's right. So I do think like this, when people go network is really scary. I think if you give yourself like a plan, it's not as scary. And make sure you follow up. I feel like loads of people don't follow up because they panic they'll seem annoying, but business clients expect follow-ups. They see it as professional and in no way pestering. So don't worry about getting everyone's emails or sending a message. Go on LinkedIn and tag people in and chat to them. And think about building long-term partnerships, particularly with event planners, venues, marketing agencies, PR companies. These people are your golden ticket, okay? They are your absolute golden ticket. So I'm going to close this episode out because it's been a bit of a rant and a bit of a long one. And I am still, I don't know how I'm still ill. It's insane. But anyway, I'll leave you this. Have you ever had to pay £200 to someone to tell you to believe in yourself? Okay. Please, please, please remember that sometimes you're not at a business event. You're at a cult with cupcakes and business cards or limp bread rolls with basic bacon. Ugh, I hate it. Real marketing works quietly, it works strategically, and it works through people who actually hire creatives. If an event is full of people pretending to have a business, they're not your clients. Stop being dazzled by the hype, the glitter, and the empty promises. Start choosing rooms where the budgets match your rates, not the rooms where people are trying to manifest their first booking. Because honestly, what a waste of time and utter toshness. I mean it. Just ugh. So, have you ever been to a marketing event where you're like, God, this is crap. I want to hear about it. I want to hear your horror stories. I want to hear the weird ones. If you have been to one that you've been, oh my God, I got lots of work, and you can say to me, Khandie, I got 7 bookings and I made like 4 grand, I'll be like, honey, tell me about it. But we need to start calling these out, especially these ones where, you know, I literally can't go a mum. I wouldn't say it's that frequent, like a mum. Hi. So we've just had a photographer leave our network, and we're looking for a photographer with your skills into our network. Those ones, they freak me out because I have to say, of all the ones I've attended, because I do attend for the most of them, I have yet to be impressed by anything they're presenting to me. Maybe I've got high standards, or maybe I just know what my business is about. I don't know. It could be. It could be also I'm not a nice person and I don't get on with people. Who knows? So I want your stories. I want the tea. I want the chaos. Join in this conversation on the Loud Lens Facebook group. Make sure you talk to me on Instagram. I'd love to know. And share this episode with anybody who's looking at buying tickets for a networking brunch thinking it'll fix their business. I recommend just following my podcast or my YouTube, because that's always a good place to go. But as ever, this has been Khandie and this has been the Loud Lens. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon, or you'll hear me real soon. Yeah, you don't see me, do you? Because I don't do the videos for this one. Anyway, bye.